Hi there. If you've been following my blog at all, you'll know that I'm part of the Gear Up for CF ride, and I'm here with Brennen, who's also part of the Gear Up for CF ride. Do you want to just explain a little bit about the ride?
I'm doing the 100 kilometers for the first day ride, which is pretty exciting. Anyways, I'm doing it with a bunch of family and a bunch of friends. My mom is riding the 1 day. My boyfriend is also riding the 1 day. And then my dad is again doing the 9 day because he's crazy. But
I am too.
Yeah, I know. Crazy people.
Why did you decide to do this ride?
I'm doing this ride because actually I was born with cystic fibrosis, and so it's always been something very important in my life. My sister was also born with CF, and she actually passed away in 2003. And so I'm riding for the both of us and for my family, for all that we've gone through, and for all my friends who have CF or had CF. And also because I actually had a lung transplant all of just over 8 months ago.
Wow.
And so I can. And so it was very exciting to be able to do something like this. And so I decided that I was gonna try to raise some money, and that was a good time to try to raise some money because I just had a double lung transplant, was a fairly decent excuse. So it's very exciting and scary because I haven't really biked before. And because before transplant I couldn't bike. So
yeah, you were saying that there's a different challenge for you in that now you're able to, but your muscles are like,
whoa, yeah. One of my main issues is, well, because before when it was my CF lungs, I would have to stop whatever exercise I was doing because my lungs weren't ready for it. And like I would have to stop because I was out of breath, or I'd have to stop because of anything to do with my lungs. And now my lungs are totally fine, and my fitness is not so fine. And so I'll have very sore legs, and I'll get to feel lactic acid, which I've never felt before, which is very weird. And so I'll get really...
And you'll feel a lot of it.
I'll feel a lot of it. And so, but I'll get really excited about it. And the rest of whoever is biking, they're like, why are you excited? Because I've never felt it before. And so I get really excited about kind of odd things right now. But yeah, so it's exciting to get to push myself.
So what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge on the ride?
Probably the biggest challenge will be the emotional challenge of the ride, just because I went along with the 9 day ride actually last year with my mom in the van. And so I got to follow everyone and be with them all when they're working their butts off. And it's always people thinking of the people who they love and the people who've been lost to CF, and it's really hard and it's really emotional, but it's really exciting and it's really, really a bonding experience. And so I'm worried about that just because the idea of putting all my energy into exercising plus all my energy into an emotional experience is kind of overwhelming. And so the actual bike ride itself is going to be very challenging, but I think the mix of the bike ride and the emotional aspects of it is going to be hard, but exciting.
But there'll be a lot of people there to support,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like there's 24 9 day riders this
year.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like there's so much support, and it's so amazing to see so many people out there supporting CF. And so it's very exciting, and yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any, I guess, if people were thinking of donating to the ride, what would you say to somebody that didn't really know much about CF but just heard about the ride? There's
kind of two main aspects of CF, which is, the main one for me is lungs, how it affects your lungs, and then the other aspect is digestive tract stuff. And some kids and some people have their main problems there. And so with my experience, well, when I was very young, I had quite mild CF actually. And so I was rarely in the hospital, and I was kind of a normal young kid, but I had to do my physio. But being a young kid, of course I do physio. That was just kind of my normal everyday routine. And so at that point I did physio twice a day, and it would probably take about an hour each time. It wasn't that much of a deal for me, but then it started getting worse and worse. And then I ended up being in hospital like a few times in a year, and then more and more, and until the point where just before my transplant I was actually on IV therapy more than I was not. And so I was on it pretty much all the time. I usually did it from home, which was fantastic, but you're on IV all the time. You can't go places. You don't feel well. Like when I'd be off of IV for a week, I'd be so excited.
But people don't realize that it's super time consuming.
Yeah, it's unbelievably time consuming and eventually just impacts your life so much that you eventually, many people decide, you know what, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get new lungs. I'm gonna go on the list to get a transplant. And so that's a terrifying decision, but it was one that, because what was described to me was kind of once your life isn't what you want it to be anymore, you're kind of, it's not fair to you.
And for the average person, it's not like having a sore back or a sore knee and you need to go in and get a knee replacement or something. It's to the point where you have to make that decision.
Yeah, and so I trust those doctors, obviously, with my life. And so it was terrifying to make that decision. And once I made that decision, I was flip-flopping all the time and was totally freaking out about it. That is such an understatement. And also you're carrying around a pager with you all the time that once that pager goes, it means there are lungs for you and you have a transplant tonight, if those lungs end up working. And so it was unbelievably terrifying, but so unbelievably worth it. Just going forward, what do you hope for the future? Well, I want so many people to donate to this cause because I want CF to be cured. It's not fair that people have to deal with this. It's terrible. I've gone through it. I still have to go through it. And it's awful. There should be so much more awareness for it. And just the people going out and supporting it and going out and riding their bikes for ridiculous amounts of time, crazy lady. It's amazing, and it makes people with CF feel so good that people are supporting them and trying to kind of help us fight this. And so donating, raising awareness, and trying to find a cure. Just absolutely. And same with, and raising awareness of transplants, like getting people to
on the list.
Like getting people on the list who have CF and do need it. Like trying to get your head around it so hard, and like talking to people who've had them is so helpful.
Yeah.
And
well, thank you very much for sharing your story.
Yeah.
It's amazing and inspirational, and I'm gonna be emotional and happy to be riding next to you for at least the first 100 kilometers and making it along our way. So
sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.